We're ready. Okay, Christopher, are you okay?
Wait a minute, you stopped it?
It started.
Oh,
We're
yes,
on.
I'm okay. Yes, I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
You're too funny.
I wonder if people thought the picture froze though when I did that.
Maybe, or maybe they saw me still moving because I was trying to figure out what was going on. Welcome everybody to the Spice.
Yes.
So
Give her some more life.
yeah, all right. Keep forgetting
Guys,
that. Give me some
ladies. I mean, you don't have to say if you want.
Oh, as you can see, we're not in our normal spot today.
We're not. Where are we at?
Oh,
We're in a different place.
we are.
We're in a different
environment.
Different place. Situation.
Yay! We decided to do a podcast while we were in our
Did some
different
walking
environment.
around.
Yeah.
Try to be a part of our physical fitness. I like how you said that.
Physical fitness.
Physical fitness. Yeah. We're in a different place. We're near the beaches.
Yeah.
Some fun times.
We're doing a little self-care.
What they call that? That's it's not a lot. It's like when you do it at a different radio, different place.
We're off. We call it at a remote location.
Remote control.
Yeah, we're at a remote location.
Hopefully you see my tan. I got a nice little tan going.
Yeah,
Angela has a nice one.
Yes,
nice little smooth one.
Yes, my tan is on and popping.
Not stopping. And
sometimes different environments do that.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking about. People take vacations, take time, try to do things, change the scene, change the environment, go places they like. And yeah, I was asking myself, does it really make a difference? Does it make us kind of change who we are, or does it make a little difference? Or what kind of impact does that make?
That's what our show is about. So how does it feel when you're in a different environment? How does it affect you?
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling, Christopher? You in a different environment. How are you feeling?
I feel great. And in my opinion, everything is mental. We can kind of control even bad days with our own mental state and how we see it and how we deal with negative and good and all that.
Yes.
But environment definitely can make a difference.
It does.
Positive or negative.
Definitely for me, it definitely makes a difference for me. But just like you said, it's all here.
Yeah.
How do you take it in here? Sometimes you can be on the most beautiful place on the planet, but if this is not good, if this is not the right place, are you going to enjoy yourself?
Right. And I think it means different things to different people.
Yes.
So let's say beach. We were talking about beaches earlier. So let's say, for instance, me and Angela today go to the beach, and some people come with us. Like let's say it's like 4, 5, 6 people with us. And I may say, oh man, I'm loving this beach. This beach is nice. The ocean breeze is, ooh. So that's my impact of this. That's the way I'm perceiving this environment. Somebody else with me, and Angela could say, man, it is hot, sunburn, man, this salty smell is getting on my, it's a perception, but it's also how that person is allowing the environment to impact them.
Yeah, and what's funny is that can impact your overall happiness too, if someone else is feeding you negativity.
Especially how they may already see it. Usually if it's a person talking like that, when the beach was suggested, they probably already had negative thoughts. They could relate it to something from the childhood. Mm-hmm. And now they're carrying that on.
Yes.
Haven't made a choice. Sometimes people just say, I'm going to tell you, this really happened. Is somebody that we're connected to and related to. Oh, I remember just always having to go to the beach. And, it seemed like we always went to the beach. Of course, they went to the beach with us recently, and they could not. It was hard to get them out the water. So So they must be had some good memories at the
Yeah,
beach. Whatever happened, they was enjoying themselves. Even if it was a negative experience at first, they made a personal choice to enjoy themselves.
that's true.
And so they let the environment be a part of their joy and their happiness and make a positive impact on them, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So are you a big believer in that environment situation?
Oh yeah, I do. I do. But you gotta make sure that your head's in the right place as well. Or you gotta get it there.
Yeah, even on a small scale. Let's say, for instance, at your home, you're a person that's cluttery, like to have clutter, don't even realize, whereas someone that lives with you not maybe so much used to that.
Mm-hmm.
You may be perfectly comfortable where the other person that are a roommate or whoever be like, could you make sure you straighten this up or straighten that up? Or you may be on the other spectrum where you're around people more overly organized.
Yeah.
Being organized is not really a
And that can
bad
get on
thing.
your nerves too. But if they're overboard, they could get on your nerves.
Yeah.
There's a lint on the floor. Oh, could you wipe this little fingerprint off of this or that?
Yeah.
Gotta be balanced.
Moving your stuff everywhere and organizing. You're like, why are they moving?
Yeah.
That's where I wanted it to be. Why they move it over there?
But being clean, make sure you're organized and clean is really important.
To most people.
Oh yeah, it's important. It is
I
important
don't
because
think
that could affect your mood too.
right.
Stuff is
So
all
your
junky and
average
messy.
person probably, yeah. But I know, you and I know, again, people are, because of lifestyle, childhood, growing up, whatever, people become used to certain kind of environments and believe it's normal to them, but it's not normal to others. It's maybe
That's
not
true.
even an average situation. That makes
That's
sense.
true. Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like common sense, what Angela said, you're a normal person, your average person, like, yeah, I gotta make sure we stay clean and, or, to some degree, a little bit of organization or whatever. But you may have some people that grew up in an environment where that's not what they do. You walk into a home and you just have a little path to where the TV is or to where that stuff is because they are messy and junky and cluttery. It is people that exist that are like that, and it could be some kind of underlying issue. But if I come into an environment like that, it will affect me mentally.
Oh yeah. For most people, they love to be somewhere that's clean, that's organized, that's peaceful.
Yep.
Junky and cluttery mean that there is a junky, cluttery brain there.
Right. And let's say, for instance, like Angela said, that's true. Your average person likes to keep things normal. The impact, I believe, is different for different people. So you come into your normal house, basically clean, not cluttery, average little stuff. Depending on the person, they may be at peace or not. Because remember I said, we always know that no matter what the environment, the perception, the decision making, how we see it is still going to come through here, filter through here, and then, through the mind and the gut feelings and hearts and all that.
That is so true. And we all know that having a healthy way of thinking, healthy brain, healthy just overall, balance in how we're thinking, we're not, and I'm not saying that, hey, you got to always be in a good mood. A balance means there are going to be ups and downs, but how do you internalize that? How do you handle that, So we got to take responsibility and making sure we're taking care of ourselves in that respect.
So speaking of health, good segue. There were 8 things as far as environmental health that could make an impact. So this is on a massive or on a big scale. And depending on where you live in the world, this could be a stronger impact to you than someone else that's less used to it. Somebody may be more used to these circumstances than others, and they may like, well, it might affect me a little bit. But somebody else that's used to a certain environment, like, well, no, that's a big deal to me.
Yes.
That's a game changer. So this was information, and Angela and I are going to look at. It's actually from Regis College. It's regiscollege.edu. It's an online college that I guess a group of people or some, because it doesn't give specifics. It says articles, Master of Public Health, but it doesn't give a specific name that we can reference.
Yeah.
So when you go to it, just look up that information, and you should be able to talk about it. But it talk about environmental health. And it talks about things that through strategic effort to improve environmental health, public health professional can enhance your personal wellness, our individual families and communities in ways and situations that optimize that, that helps that improves that. It can be good, it can be bad, but there are some things that impact that. And one of the I'll mention one and then Angela go through we'll go back and forth. So it says 8 environmental factors that can impact your health. And then it tells us a number of specific environmental issues can impede human health and wellness. These issues include chemical pollution, air pollution, climate change, disease-causing microbes, lack of access to healthcare, poor infrastructure, and water quality. Those are the 8. So the first one, chemical safety. People say, what you talking about, chemical safety? Well, believe it or not, different chemicals being in different things and stuff and people in the air can impact you. This is things that can impact you mentally and physically. And there are certain parts of the regions where this is a big deal. So I'm just going to give you one stat, and then I'm going to let you guys think about this. It says, in a critical field of public health, according to the World Health Organization, more than 1.6 million deaths in 2016 were due to exposure to selected chemicals. So it could be something that was in the food or in the water or something.
More so it says something about pesticides. So we know how that affects and think about it, when you're going grocery shopping and you're buying vegetables or fruit, that, if you get organic foods, then you don't have really much to worry about in regards to the chemical part, because you're buying organic fruit, or vegetables. Same for in the foods, but a lot of our foods, we're in the United States, are heavily, we got a lot of chemicals going. We call it GMO, genetically modified organism, or GMO types things, which is chemical, and we got more of it today than we were, back in the day, especially when we were growing up. We're Generation X, so we grew up most of our lives without a lot of the chemicals. Today it's a lot. So
the 3 things for sure that it mentioned that it can get into is your food chain, pesticides, and water.
Yes.
So be careful when you travel. That's what I would suggest, and make sure you know the environment on that. So there you go.
All right.
Something to think about.
All right, we got the second one is air pollution. So studies shown that air pollution effects on humans are significant public health concern, not only because of the role of climate change, but also because exposure to air pollution can increase morbidity and mortality. Whoa. So things like, these are statistics according to WHO, the World Health Organization. Air pollution effects on humans are significant. For example, air pollution causes 29% of all global deaths from lung disease, 24% of all deaths from smoke, and 17% of all deaths from disease from acute lower respiratory infection. So some of the things that you can think about, like if you think about when you talk about air quality, I know especially during the summer months, you always hear about the air quality is very poor. So you hear things like that. The ozone is affected by that. So we're talking about things like that, having to wear, like some countries having to wear their mask on, constantly, because the pollution is very bad. So you're thinking about some of the things that are dangerous they include the car and truck exhaust and products and industrial processes, also, I didn't used to get affected by this, but pollen. Those are natural air pollution. You're talking about pollen and mold. Some places have mold, so you got to be careful with that. And those have been linked to asthma and a lot of allergies. So I do have a certain allergies, because I don't know what I would say maybe the air quality is poor, so I got a little affected. I got affected by that. How many times I can
Yeah,
say
the
that?
dust and stuff like that. And then, of course, climate change and natural disasters. When people come in an area where they have a volcano, that can impact people's life, their whole cities, airplanes that fly in the area. I remember a story. This guy might be connected to a story. It was a British airplane back in the day. It was several, there used to be more than just two pilots. This wasn't too long ago, but I think it was at least four pilots because they had the engineers, a, a main pilot, a captain, and I think two co-pilots, something like that. And they were flying the plane, and all of a sudden they start getting what you call Elmo's fire, which is when the static of the air is bouncing off the plane, and it looks like it's glowing. But this was more than usual, and then actually one of the engines cut off, and they had four engines, they lost two, and they were starting to lose engines, but they dropped down in the altitude. The Elmer's fire went away, and they were able to get some of the engines running, and those four guys worked together like hard, like dogs. And then they made their way back to a location. Anyway, they got the plane down, but they didn't realize that they could have died. They didn't realize until later that they flew through a volcano, and ash had started. The actual Elmer's fire they were seeing was actually burning ash bouncing off the plane, but it clogged the engines. And because those four men worked so hard to get that plane back going, they saved a lot of lives because of some of the decisions that they made. But that environment made a difference in the life of those people almost getting lost, let alone the people that lived in that area.
Wow.
That's one.
That's
One thing.
amazing.
Yeah.
So another thing is about, this is number 4, diseases caused by microbes. So microbes are known as microorganisms. They can be present in a lot of areas, a lot of public places. They say trillions. Get that, guys. Trillions. I hate to, I know some people are very, when you talk about stuff getting, it creeps you out when it talks about this public stuff. Trillions of microbes exist within the human body. So they live in water, soil, and air. Most of them have no negative effects. Even when you hear that, you're like, oh, yuck. But many of those perform biological functions, such as they support your digestive, immune health. Said according to the National Human Genome Research Institute, bacteria, viruses, and fungi are types of microbes. So let's get down to it. Said one example of a public microbe that could cause some harm to you is E. coli, which is a bacteria that can be found in the environment or in foods, can cause respiratory illness and urinary tract infections and adverse health effects. So there are a number of them in the soil. And you can also, okay, let me say this first. As human can come into contact with them by ingesting them through contaminated foods. So what do you hear a lot of every month? Something is contaminated. So always be alert on contaminated foods, because they can really cause they can cause some problems. But it also said that, or through inhaling them through soil particles in the air. So that's very dangerous. So be on the lookout for that.
And one of the biggest ones is what we had to deal with recently with the COVID virus. That was a big impact on the environment. People had to change a lot of what they do for several weeks. In fact, it impacted our country, jobs, and all kind of stuff. Now, imagine if you have that happen and you have a lack of health care. That's another whole different environmental change. There are many of different countries that have health care issues, and it can be a big factor. It says, according to Healthy People, it's a site, it says many people face barriers that prevent or limit access to needed healthcare services. And because of that, some factors that contribute to a lack of access of healthcare are economic instability, irreliable transportation that's not reliable, the facility, education, prevention, not enough healthcare, not enough people around, not enough pharmaceutical help. It can go on, and this leads to areas where it's more chronic conditions, more asthma conditions, more cancer, more diabetes, more heart disease in those areas where there's a lack of health care. And that can make a big impact and a game changer in a person's
Oh yeah,
environment.
I totally agree with that. And we got another here. One here is because infrastructure issues. Infrastructure issues have major impact on the community health. So examples of that is a poorly maintained roads, lack of access to clean drinking water, and a lack of local healthcare infrastructure such as clinics capable of giving vaccinations.
Yeah, I was going to say, to give you an example, in from middle Latin America area leading into South America, North South America, which is that Venezuela,
Mm-hmm.
Colombia coming in, there's still roads that don't connect that part as you're going into there, or maybe one muddy. So those things, and people that live in those areas are going to suffer more because of lack of infrastructure.
Oh yeah.
Poor water quality. Poor water quality, number 7. That's self-explanatory. That's something that even where we live. So I remember being young and all of a sudden hearing on the news, you got to boil your water. Some people don't even, the water is so bad they can't even boil it. They have to go miles to get to it. And
Yes.
so because people are thirsty and they're not trying to, they may not be aware of the issue, they can suffer in their environment because of poor water quality.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a really big one too. All right. So the next one is global environmental issues. So what is that? It says more than 12.6 million deaths each year. That's a lot of people. 12.6 million deaths each year, according to the HWO data. So alongside the issues mentioned here, these can include soil population. I'm sorry, not population.
WHO.
WHO. Who? World Health.
Who are you? Ooh, 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 ooh.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Tell
Yeah.
me who are you? All right. Along with the issues mentioned here, these can include soil pollution. That's that population. Soil
I
pollution,
don't know what she's talking about.
ultraviolet radiation, and biodiversity loss. And according to the data, more than 100 illnesses and injuries can be directly linked to environmental health concerns. Often these issues have the greatest impact on communities that are poor and already have significant health care vulnerabilities.
Yeah. So usually it's places that have some of the things we mentioned earlier are an accumulation of them. And there can be in an instant. This is one thing I know about environment. First of all, as we talk about environment, we talk about vacations or going somewhere or cleaning our areas and all that. No matter how small and big, environments do make a difference.
It
That's
does.
facts. And we can make a difference in our own environment. But on the level we talking about here, on the big level, we can figure out ways to make an impact. But overall, it starts getting down to, where you live, the governmental structure, then the climates, things like that, and the kind of people that come together to try to make certain changes.
That's true.
Yeah.
And also when you're on going on vacation, it's important that wherever you go, that you are getting quality.
Oops, my bad. So that means have knowledge of your
Yeah,
environment.
have knowledge of your
Yeah.
environment. Now, one of the things that I noticed that certain areas, like for example, a park, there's certain things that on that level, a park has to make sure that there are areas that are clean, like certain part of the beaches, they test the water. I didn't even know that.
Right.
So it's good to know that, wherever you're going, especially the water, it's a lot of stuff in the waters that you got to be careful of. If you go somewhere and they're testing the water, to me, I feel a little safer for that,
Right.
And also just having fun overall, but making sure that you're in a place that's, that's safe, you're having fun, and you're enjoying it.
Yeah. I think that when it comes to any place, and like Angela said, find out as much as you can about that place before
Yeah.
you go. Have at least some knowledge of it. I'm not saying it's, don't try different things new, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you just say, hey, I'm, picking a place on the globe and I'll find out when I get there. That's all exciting and everything, but you can still learn a lot and have new spontaneous things happen in that environment and still keep yourself safe and have knowledge and understanding of what you have to do. There are some places, no matter what you do, you got to go get some bottled water. Don't even attempt to. I mean, even in the United States, when I go to different states, me and Angela usually just get bottled water. Even though we know, hey, you can drink the water, they say you can. I'm just used to the water where I live.
That's the first thing we get is bottled water.
Quite comfortable with just getting bottled water until I get back home. And even then, most of the time we drink bottled water.
You got to watch what bottled water
you got to watch what bottled water. That's right.
I'm going to tell you this.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to advertise. But
well, I'm not going to advertise.
Some waters that straight from the tap.
Some bottled waters, I'm telling you, people, like, it's worse than drinking a tap. So please.
Somebody said, well, tap water good, girl.
What's funny, if you go in the store and there's only one type of bottled water left on the shelves, and you know that people buy bottled water, there's a hurricane or storm or it's snowing, but if that's one type of bottled water,
I'm not even going to pretend like back in the day when it was one of those hot summers and we got finished riding bikes and running around. We played basketball. We went on the side, got that spigot running, and we drank that water.
That was back in the day.
Back in the day when I was young. I'm not a kid
but
anymore.
This is a different time, different
places,
different place.
Yeah, things do change.
Things have
changed.
And you
get more knowledge and understanding of things.
So yeah, keep an eye on what that bottle of water is left over that nobody's touching. The last one.
Watch out for that backwash. Y'all know what time it is.
Oh, that is too funny.
Yeah, but yeah, so enjoy your environment.
Yeah.
Make a difference. And if you travel, make sure you're safe. Yes. But also, in the end, you still got to enjoy the moment, be in the moment with those times and enjoy it. Make sure you bring the right people with you so you can have a good time when you go to these different environments.
Yes. Remember, self-care is very important. That's why you go on vacation or you go and just, you just got to get away. You got to bring the peace back.
Some people don't care, but you just make sure you self-care. And that's some good advice from the Spice. La 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 la.
Bye. Bye-bye.